a good week. It's a good week. We got a lot of stuff on my mind, and I don't know where to begin. First of all, NFL season started. Yeah, football, man. NFL make a lot of bread, billions and billions of dollars, and so, but when you see this live broadcast, you'll notice that I got my New England Patriots hat on. Now look, let me make sure I see how you go. Okay, look, let me just say for the record, I'm a homer. I'm from the Chi, so I do root for the home teams. Despite the Bears taking that L on Thursday night, I root for things Chicago, right? But I'm also a businessman, right? So I like systems, I like excellence, and I dig things, especially teams who can consistently put forth an excellent product. And say what you want to about them boys from New England, they get the job done, man. Like, hey, that old dude can coach, and hey, that old man can play quarterback. 6 rings. So I like you can say they cheated if you want to. Well, you better start cheating with them. You better start cheating with them. And I'm telling you right now, if I had to bet any money in consequence, Brady and them boys going to be back in the ship again. I mean, quiet as kept. And so it's funny that we say that because as I was coming in, I was telling Troy, I filmed, directed, videographer. He's my everything, my creative guy. I was telling him that I got the buzz from ESPN News that Antonio Brown, the Raiders, if you haven't called it, Antonio Brown, Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders, got into a fight with his general manager. And the reports say he called his general manager a racial slur, kicked the ball, punted the football at practice and said, "Find me for that." And in the NFL, their money not really, they get guaranteed money for a little bit, but the whole thing ain't guaranteed. So you may have like a $150 million contract, but 10 is guaranteed. So they can get rid of you in a heartbeat. And so the language in this contract stated that if he got fined or suspended before the actual, first game or something like that, that they could void $30 million of his guarantees. So essentially, they voided out 29-some million dollars of his guarantees, fined him $215K, and essentially he's going to play week to week with no guarantee. Like, basically he's paying week to week on paycheck to pay. He like me now, bro. Like me. Titus and Sonya, he like us now. He paying like check to check. How we go check to check? He playing week to week, game to game, and they can terminate him, and he gets no termination pay. I was telling Troy, what kind of fool is it? He a new kind of fool. 30 million guarantee. You messed it. What Fred Sanford say? You big dummy. Look. When we start talking about entrepreneurship and having a team, you got to have the right people around you. Right? It's not just your agent and your attorney. You need to have some people to keep you down to earth, that keeps you in reality, bro. Like, how do you mess up $30 million guaranteed? And I told you a couple weeks ago, he's about to be in that, for different reasons than Colin Kaepernick. But I'm going to put him more in the T.O., Ocho Cinco kind of realm. He's getting ready to be blackballed from the NFL, right? But I was telling Troy, watch him go to the Patriots. Patriots take them, man. We take reclamation projects and make them champions. We put you on the team in a minute. Mighty Titus, you can go to the Patriots right now and catch 30 balls for the year. Right now, straight out the booth. So I'm looking forward, man. You got to be a new fool, man. My goodness. Okay, so I digress. Hey, shout out to entrepreneur Amira Bibbs. She called my office. She's starting a new clothing line, manufacturing her own clothing out in the south suburbs of Illinois. Called me to get her insurance, her business insurance together. God bless you. That's phenomenal. Excellent work. Again, call my office, 708-647-1005. We got a great show. A couple of guests lined up for you today. We have my man, Ronald L. Millsap, Vice President of Mission Banking and Community Reinvestment Act Officer at Providence Bank and Trust. He'll be stopping by the studio today. And also the one and only Samantha Thomas, Emmy Award-winning journalist and creator host of Small Talk with Samantha. And she's also going to be the host of our upcoming day party, the relaunch of the Urban Business Roundtable. Now, let me park it right there. I want to invite you guys to come on out. come on out to the upcoming networking event this Saturday, next Saturday rather, 9/14 at the Bureau Bar UIC, 724 West Maxwell. I need you to RSVP at hello@forwardplanninginc.com, RSVP at hello@forwardplanninginc.com. Our special host again would be Emmy Award-winning journalist Samantha Thomas. And I want you to come on out to this event because it's important that you make connections. Remember, your net worth is connected to your network. You can take your business and your entrepreneurial endeavors to another level by just the resources you come in contact with. And I got a one mantra: everybody eats. In our community, especially in the African American community, small business community, everybody has to eat. And so literally everybody that I touch, if they're talented, I'm trying to make a way. My man Troy is coming here. Like I met him at a grand opening at another entrepreneurs event, and from that point on, I saw his work, and we dealing with each other. You got Forward Planning Inc. with Allison Scrutchins. I met her at a Chicago Urban League Small Business Symposium. She does the event planning. She's doing the event planning for this project. You know, everybody, I need you to come out and make some authentic connections. I'm going to tell this story before we go on break as to why entrepreneurship is important to me. It's the story that helped really propel me into becoming an entrepreneur. And for those who follow my career, you've heard me say this before. I was having dinner with a bunch of colleagues one night, and the colleagues, again, just happened to be Caucasian. I was the only black at the table. And one of them turned to me again. He says, "Curtis, you know, I'm going to break 70 this year." And I said, 70? Like, what are you talking about? I'm thinking golf. He goes, "Well, no, I'm gonna be in my office less than 70 days a year this year." So I'm like, wow. Well, where you going to be the other 200 and some days? He goes, "My wife and I, we're going to be at our second home in Florida, just kind of, vacationing." And so I don't know about you guys. I'm born and raised Southside Chicago, Hyde Park Career Academy. I didn't know anybody that had second homes. So I just said, privileged white guy. That's just you. That's just you. Another Caucasian guy turns to me and goes, "Curtis, when my grandsons reach a certain age, they go through a rite of passage." And I go, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, when they hit age 15, Granddad takes them to our home in Michigan for fishing for the weekend." I'm like, whoa, this dude got a second home too. He goes, "Well, when they hit age 17, I write him. I send them to. We go to my home in Canada for snowmobiling for the weekend." I said, "Well, my goodness, you must be selling drugs, because the only drug dealers in the movies. I mean, that's what they do in the movies. You selling." He goes, "Well, when they hit age 18, Granddad writes him a check for $50,000. And I get that they get that as a head start in life. That's their startup money to do whatever it is they're going to do." And it was he just said it matter of factly, 50 grand. Like, whoa. And I watched these guys over dinner, had this very comfortable conversation about entrepreneurship, small business growth and development, politics, finances, investing. And I had both a mom and a dad at home, and we never had those conversations. And so that conversation left a profound impact on me. It helped me create dollars and cents some years back, but it also has been the thing that sticks into my brain as I think about entrepreneurship, as I build for my own family to try to create a legacy and to impact my community. So I encourage you guys to come out to meet other individuals and increase your net worth. So 914 UIC campus, the Bureau Bar. Be sure to RSVP at hello@forwardplanninginc.com. That's hello@forwardplanninginc.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back on the other side, got our guest Samantha Thomas, also Ronald L. Millsap, and I'll keep you on pause for the rest. You listen to the Urban Business Roundtable here with Curtis R. Money. Up next, we have the Patient Investor Report presented by Qua.
It's Qua, your patient investor from Ariel Investments. Ariel's number of the day is $1,400. That's how much money the average retiree receives each month from Social Security. That works out to be about $17,000 a year, and it's not enough for a comfortable retirement. Now, to be fair, Social Security was only intended to play a supporting role. It was never meant to be the main source of our retirement savings. These days, most of us will want to take matters into our own hands. If you're still working, you can contribute up to $19,000 a year into a 401k plan. If you don't have access to a 401k, you can still open up your own IRA and contribute a maximum of $6,000 a year. The key is to take action and start today. For more tips, visit arielyinvestments.com. And remember, slow and steady wins the race.
Thanks, Kwa. Great information as always. You're tuning in again to the Urban Business Roundtable with Curtis R. Monday. Call me live. I want to hear from you. If you want to get your financial house or your business house in order, 708-647-1005. As always, great show lined up for you today. Coming up in the second half hour of the show, we're going to have some conversation with Miss Small Talk herself, Samantha Thomas. She's going to be co-hosting, actually the guest host of our day party for the relaunch of the Urban Business Roundtable. And coming up shortly is our next guest, Mr. Ronald L. Millsap, as we talk about a topic very, very important to me regarding business and development. You know, as an entrepreneur, a lot of times that we have a lot of challenges. Sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's growing our business. But one of the big challenges we have is things like access to capital. It's a huge thing. You know, you as a small business owner, you can't grow, you can't market, you can't pay for advertisement. You have problems with salaries. A lot of things are triggered to our inability to be able to gain capital or access to capital. And so being able to have institutions that have a relationship with us, that are going to be amicable enough to lend to us, is an important thing for us. And so I want to welcome our first guest, really doing some phenomenal work. I know him personally. We had the pleasure of being in a business development program together with the Chicago Urban League called Impact. He's the Vice President of Mission Banking and Community Reinvestment Act Officer at the Providence Bank and Trust. I want to say good morning to my man, Mr. Ronald L. Millsap. Good morning, Ron. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Monday. Thank you for having me. I'm still one from your page. I want to first start by thanking God for giving me this opportunity. Curtis just reached out and he's like, Ron, I'd love to have you on the show. Start to build this relationship. So it's the synergy, man. It's the opportunity. It's having relationships with good people and having that kind of connection with your faith center. Yeah. That, man, it just flows. So thank you for the flow in terms of having me. I want to send a shout out to my wife, my fam, because I know you get shout out to your team. So shout out to my wife, Jaliba, my little ones, Gabriella and Elijah, and all my family that's listening this morning.
Absolutely.
And my Providence Bank and Trust family. So thanks, Kurt.
Man, no problem. I mean, and you mentioned about reaching out. One of the things that we said that we wanted to do with the show was to create connections, was to fill in the blanks and make sure that this person over here who may have a great product or service isn't operating on the silo while this person over here needs something. And so, again, we both were part of the Impact program. And one of the things that, despite what people may think about the program itself, one of the things that's undeniable is the quality of the people. And the individuals in my cohort are live. So shout out to 444, because I know a lot of them are listening. And Ron is an alumni from that group. And so, Ron, for individuals who don't know you and not familiar with you, tell us a little bit about your background.
Man, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Quite familiar to a lot of the south side communities because we moved around quite a bit as a kid. Went to Avalon Park and then finished up at Holy Angels in terms of grammar school, De La Salle and Hales Franciscan in terms of high school, and then just went away to college. Man, went away to Morehouse. Got a lot of my history, a lot of my culture, and felt like I want to be back home. But I didn't just want to be back home. I want to be back home in my community. So I grew up in the Avalon Park area. And I currently live in a Chatham community. Mm-hmm. There was no matter of money that I can make, no matter education I could get to make me feel better than or separate. I realized we all truly interconnected. So I want to be, a part of that change in my own community. So that's a little bit about me.
Absolutely. Now, did you always have an interest in banking? How did your career lead you to banking?
I think a lot. Once again, it's that faith. So I had my dad. My dad was an insurance guy, so you probably like my dad quite a bit, Curtis.
That's right,
so,
Mr. Millsap, right.
Financial services. So I seen him doing that quite early on as a kid. And then my mom had always been in banking, leasing, and all different type of forms of financial services. She was a real estate broker, so almost everybody in our family that owns a home, my mom got them access to a home. And then I went to this program called Link Unlimited, 50-year plus old program. Link paired me up with a mentor that was a senior VP in banking. And I started at 16, man, as a teller. So I've been in banking for, 22 years.
Yeah.
And it's always been a passion. And I'm going to flip that hat one day and come on the other side of the table.
No, I got you. I got you. We talk back and forth, but you know, I mean, seriously, what you're doing right now on your side of the table is important. You know, you've heard people say that teamwork makes the dream work, and as an entrepreneur, you know, again, without having access to capital, that's a real problem for us. CRA, Community Reinvestment Act. It's a lot of it's been a talk in business for a number of years. Let's start with as an insider, as someone in banking. When you hear that CRA, for the layman person who's listening, what does that mean, Ron?
I mean, essentially, if you're a bank, or you know, and you have deposit taking activities, and you're in certain communities, particularly low to moderate income communities,
right,
that you have to do a service to those communities besides just take their deposits. Right. From a CRA standpoint, you're tested. You're tested on your lending. So how you're lending to the community. You're tested on your services to the community, as well as your investment. So banks are held to a standard of making sure that we're not just taking from the community, but we also truly giving back to the community. Absolutely.
Now, the law was created in response to flagrant racism or a racist practice called redlining, where institutions just would target certain areas where it was low poverty, low income, predominantly minority dwelled, and would not actually lend in those areas. And so the legislation, if I'm correct, was intended to correct that injustice. As an insider, do you think, what if you had to give the law a grade in respect to what its true intent was, what would you give it?
Man, I would. It wouldn't be necessarily good. I mean, at best a C.
Okay.
C minus. I think when you think about the digital transformation of banking, so you'll see a lot of open comments and proposed rulemaking around, you know, revitalizing CRA, mm-hmm. and changing it up to take into account technology and technology's impact on banking. But I say by and large, you see banks that are out there, and it's not about pitting another bank down, but if we took our institutions and we leveraged them to the full extent of everything that we do in terms of impacting low to moderate income communities, will we need community development financial institutions? Will we need small banks? So I think sometimes these gaps exist in the marketplace because while it's a good tool, it's not a cure-all.
Yeah, but it seems like it's a good idea, but didn't really go far enough in the implementation and the oversight. Like, there's really no standards that lending institutions have. Like, it's really no law hardcore. You know how like sometimes that companies may say, look, we have to put aside 10% of our budget to go towards certain initiatives, right? As I understand in banking, there's no hard guidelines that institutions have in respect to lending as governed by the CRA guidelines, right?
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely a formula to the process.
Okay.
And as regulators and as bankers, we get tested, every couple of years on that CRA in terms of its overall impact. So there's a formula to it. But then what's the mission of the institution? What's the real intent? Is it to get branding? Is it to get marketing? Is it to truly be a community partner, right? And be a part. Shore Bank is probably one of the best examples I could think of, being one of the first community development banks in the country, right?
Right.
And that model was saying, yes, we understand redlining, we understand everything that's broken about the system,
right,
but we're going to set up shop here, and we're going to deploy capital radically to communities that are low and moderate in income, because we believe that they have all the other skill sets, they're just lacking capital.
Right.
So, it's interesting with Providence Bank and Trust kind of coming into this marketplace, identifying the legacy and the history of Shore Bank, and having a similar ethos in that, where there's good businesses, established businesses that have a good discipline, have their books and their houses in order, but maybe they're lacking capital.
Right.
We want to wrap around them.
Yeah. And I remember as a real estate investor, I remember pre-2008, Shore Bank was instrumental in helping a lot of real estate investors get capital to get into the real estate boom, et cetera. And unfortunately, a lot of detractors of the CRA try to point to the fallout of the real estate market in 2008 and the CRA as being a contributing factor, saying they were too lenient with the lending. And that's a lie. It was the boys on Wall Street that screwed up everything. It wasn't the good guys like you. But you told me that your bank locally does something uniquely in respect to giving back to the community, a percentage of what you guys do in terms of your app. Talk to us about what do you guys do?
I mean, I think first and foremost, the bank is a bank, right? So we're a full service bank. But when the bank was started, really started in 2003, three of our founders kind of got together after being bought out. South Highland Bank and Trust was bought out by MB Bank. And they say, you know what, we believe that we could do community banking better. And we're going to set out to accomplish that. And then they started surveying the landscape, and they found a bank on the East Coast that had what's called a stewardship model. A stewardship model is essentially a tithe, right? So we had Christian founders who identified early on that they just didn't want to just do well, but they wanted to do well by doing good.
Okay.
So they put into their bylaws and into their organizational structure that they would set 10% of their earnings aside and reinvest those back into the community. So every single month since the bank was started, they set aside 10% of their revenue and redeploy that capital back into the community.
Wow.
That's a radical model. A radical model.
Yeah.
And there's only, to our knowledge, and I don't want to discount any other bank that's out there that's doing this, but that bank that was on the East Coast recently sold. So Providence is the only bank in the country right now that has a stewardship-based model that says, look, you put something in to the cupboard, and there's going to be some things coming back out of the cupboard towards supporting you.
Now, let's connect the dots about that. When a person says a percentage of something, right, that percentage can grow exponentially with the bigger number, right? So if you got $1 billion in assets, right, and you got a 10% pigeonhole, that 10% number can be bigger if the assets were, let's say, like $5 billion. So that means that, an institution like Providence needs to be supported by the local community in an effort to be able to get more funds to help with some of these local initiatives that you're doing. So that's phenomenal. Now, I know somebody's at home thinking like, okay, this is great. Well, let me get a piece of paper and write down my business name and call Ron because Ron going to give me some money. So, Ron, just for clarity, if you had to give our listening audience who may be might be a small business or a non-for-profit and is looking to present themselves to you, what are some basic things they need to do to present themselves in the appropriate light?
I think the most basic thing you could do is even have a similar ethos in terms of how you invest in your own community.
Okay.
Right? A lot of us, we live in the community, don't always necessarily work in the community, and most certainly don't entertain and play in the community. We do a lot outside, right? So that maybe if we could think about the institutions that are in the community in terms of how we share a tithe of what we make with those businesses, right?
Gotcha.
Let's make sure if we got insurance going on, we go put some with Curtis our Monday.
Appreciate that.
Insurance,
Shameless
right?
plug, right?
But that's the idea. The idea is that, I get it. Most of us bank out of convenience, right? So we think about the big brands. We think about what's convenient, what's accessible. But we don't think about, man, what if I truly thought about my community as a way of putting something back in?
Gotcha.
Then those small businesses that are in the community would get some fuel, right?
So you got an event coming up later today, and so that talks about how to build relationships with entrepreneurs and your banking institutions and things of that nature. When you give out your phone number at the end, I'm pretty sure someone's going to write it down. They're going to call you, right? When they call you, they're going to say, "Ron, I need some money for my organization." They're not going to have a business plan. They're not going to have any financials, etc. So from that perspective, if you had to give our listening audience who may be like excited, like, yeah, we got somebody that can help give us some money to do our project or whatever. If you had to get 3 tips for them to get ready, so when they do come to you and present, it can be looked at in the best light, what would those 3 tips be?
Number one, make sure that what you're doing has that social component to really drive the community.
Okay.
We're going to do it from the lens of CRA, right? We really want to do the things that are going to be economically supportive to the community. It's going to create jobs. It's going to help stabilize housing. It's going to create those businesses that allow people to live, work, and play in the community. So if you're doing something in a space in which, and particularly with stewardship is a nonprofit give back, right? So it's the civic and social nonprofit institutions and faith-based institutions that we serve in our communities that we tend to donate back to. So a for-profit's not going to get stewardship.
Right.
Create some clarity. But to the extent that you are one of those nonprofits that are operating in the community, consider what you can do in terms of supporting us as well. To your point, those resources could be quite limited if nobody else is pouring back into the pool.
Right.
So in 2018, we made a little over $6 million as a bank.
Okay.
That was $600,000 of stewardship contribution
Going back into the community.
Back into the community.
Right.
With the acquisition of Urban Partnership Bank, the bank is 80% growth. We go from $600 million in assets to a little over $1 billion in assets. So far through year to date, we're over $20 million in earnings. With those earnings, we're going to be able to do, on a forecast, at least $1.2 million a year in stewardship.
Right.
So if you help us build that model,
yeah,
I want to get that phone call and say, come in, do some business with us, establish an account, get to know the bankers inside of the facilities in which you're going to go in and do business with us, and let's walk slow. We're going to crawl, we're going to walk, and then we're going to eventually run.
Gotcha.
Right? So there's opportunities to wrap around and do partnership for sure.
Now, I promise you guys, Mr. Millsap will be back and be a consistent figure here with us. He has to get out of here. He has another obligation. Ron, for our listening audience who want to contact you, where can they reach you?
You could definitely get me on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn under my name, Ronald Millsap. Got to update that profile. Still saying Urban Partnership Bank out there, but we'll get that done soon. And then you could definitely reach me at work, rmillsap at providencebank.com, as well as my contact phone number, 773-420-4668.
All right, absolutely. My man, Ron Millsap. We appreciate you, brother. We're going to take a quick break here on the Urban Business Roundtable. When we come right back, we're going to be joined with Miss Small Talk herself, Samantha Thomas, here on the Urban Business Roundtable, Curtis R. Monday. Welcome back to the Urban Business Roundtable with your host, Curtis R. Monday. Let's get it cracking. Never a dull moment in live radio. On next Saturday, the 14th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Bureau Bar, UIC location, we have the relaunch day party for the Urban Business Roundtable. And as we were trying to figure out how we're going to do this and put things together, we were like, it's important for us to have like a host. And, as we started to get together and look and try to figure out like who has the right energy, the right persona, the right business acumen to help us with this relaunch, because it's important to us. All the normal names kept getting thrown out there, and that kind of pisses me off a little bit. No, I'm not taking away from anybody, but we've heard all the names we know locally. And so when Allison from Forward Planning came to me with my guest bio, admittedly I hadn't heard of her. But as I started to read her bio, I was impressed, and I looked at her social media presence, I was even more impressed. And what really got me, she sent over a contract for an honorarium, right? That's dope, right? I don't mind. Look, in business, time is just not money. Time is everything. And so her business acumen is say, look, time is important. I'm not doing nothing pro bono. Pay me. We Gucci. As long as the number's right, we Gucci. So I don't believe in doing nothing for free. And so, welcome to the show. Emmy Award-winning journalist, content creator, lifestyle correspondent, and the creator and host of Small Talk with Samantha. My guest, Samantha Thomas. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Curtis. Good morning.
How
good
are
morning. You know what? I'm good. It's a good Saturday. We got some great weather. The sun is shining in Chicago, so that's always a plus for me. So
I believe that God makes connections, makes divine connections and unions. And from the moment I had a conversation with you, I was like, yep, I like her. She a hustler. She does her thing. She embodies everything that we want to talk about and do here with the Urban Business Roundtable. For those who may not be familiar with you, tell us your story.
Well, first, thank you for that dope intro. We work. That's all I'll say. We work. Hustling, you could hustle all day, but you got to get your bread because we got to eat.
There you go.
That's what I always say. So a little bit about me. Born and raised in Chicago. We call it the low end.
Okay.
Now it's South Loop.
South Loop. Oh.
Yes. So we called it the low end back in the day. Born and raised in the city. Went to public grammar school, Bridgeport. Then I went to Catholic high school, Southside Maria High School. And from there, I didn't immediately go to college.
Okay.
And like I told you before, I was enlisted in the Air Force and got an honorable discharge because of some good stuff. It was good stuff because I got honorable discharge and ended up going to an HBCU, Lincoln University, Missouri, the real LU. I'll say that, the HBCU. And from Lincoln University, I actually majored in computers because I thought, I can make money doing this, which taught me early on, and this is a lesson for entrepreneurs, never get into something thinking you're going to make big money.
Yeah.
Do it because you're passionate about it.
Got it with your heart.
Yes, you got to do it with your heart. And one of my professors at the time, computer teacher back in at Lincoln University, he said, well, Miss Thomas, you seem to fail every test, but you do amazing with the presentations. Have you thought about journalism? And I was like, You know, I never really thought about it, but I was like, as a kid, I used to do like fake radio stations. We had WBMX, that's for the old school.
Yeah.
Yes, WGCI, and I would like do fake radios because my stepdaddy had like a lot of records, and I would play with his records and everything. And so another thing I tell entrepreneurs and people seeking to do something on your own, find what it is that you were passionate about as a kid.
Yeah.
Because that kind of could transform, be the thing that really makes you pop. That thing that you loved to do when you were little. That kind of, think about that, what it was. And so from that, I went on to journalism, and it was newspaper. Newspaper was all right, but I just knew I knew how to talk. And it became talk, and I ended up getting a job at the CBS affiliate in Jefferson City, Missouri, which was great because in TV news, most people think you start in the big cities. Chicago is a destination city. We're market number 3.
Yep.
New York is number 1, then you got LA, then us. So from that, I started in Jefferson City, Missouri, which was my college, was my college town, and which was good because it was a small market, but it's what I knew, so we had the cows in the field and everything. Listen, it wasn't no glitz and glamour, but it was starting at the bottom. I was a production assistant making like $5 an hour.
Wow.
So I part-time there and part-time at Victoria's Secret. So I was hustling bras and at the same time hustling doing the TV thing. So, that's what it was, but I knew I wanted to be in the industry. Okay. Now, it wasn't as much as being a news anchor. I wanted to learn everything.
Right.
So what I did was started as a production assistant, then a director, and then producing. Producing became my key because that way, producing, you ran the show.
Right.
When people like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a news producer. Oh, that's dope. Then like 2 minutes later, what do you do? So I wrote the newscast. So everything you hear in the news, I wrote it. So you know how you'll go from like a shooting. You don't want to go from a shooting to Disneyland is having a sale for families. You got to ease the news down.
You did the flow.
Yes,
of the
exactly.
program, right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was my job there. And from there, I had an offer in Memphis, Jacksonville, Fort Myers, Florida, and Vegas. Now, Memphis was where I wanted to go, but it didn't happen. But I'm like, Vegas ain't that bad,
Not bad at all.
Right. So I said, well, I'll give it a try. And I had visited Vegas before. Ended up getting a job at Fox in Vegas, took that. And from that, at the same time, Curtis always knew I was better at talking, but producing was my ticket. It was my ticket. Exactly. It was my green light. And so from that, ended up producing. I was at Fox in Vegas, and then I went over to CBS in Vegas, and then I won an Emmy Award in CBS in Vegas. Thank you so much.
Congrats.
And it was for breaking news coverage. It was a tragic event that happened, but we had the best coverage in the Las Vegas market, and shout out to my team at the time. So for helping with that. So Emmy Award, I think I was 28? I'm only 29 right now, but So anyway, I won an Emmy Award for that. And from there, I went on, came back home in 2010, ended up working at Channel 2. Producing for a little while, and then over to Channel 9, where I started producing a health show, but it turned into me going to food, which Chicago's best. So y'all know that show. So man, so basically, Curtis, for years I got paid to eat. That's what really,
a life.
Man,
what a life.
And that's when the amazing Brittany Payton and Ted Brunson, I was their producer at the time, and from that position phased out for me, and I ended up like, okay, at the time social media was popping,
right?
So I said, listen, people on social media, they nosy. So I could capitalize off of people being nosy. Shout out to my followers, though, because I know y'all they ain't nosy. Y'all just really want to know what's going on. But anyway, social media became a way for me to promote what I was doing, like for free. So I'm like, if anybody doesn't see this, what's up?
The green light has to come on.
Green light.
Ding, ding. Right. I got you.
You have to think outside of the box and be innovative. So I said, well, what I can do is marry food and news. Mm-hmm. So I married those two. And I said, I just want to take people out to eat and talk about what they do. Simple concept. I said, but the person has to have a following who I take out. So what I did was rounded up some influencers back then.
Right.
Who I thought we call them socialites. And Candace Jordan, who's a former Playboy Playmate, I took her out. And the dope Pastor Hannah, I took him out to eat. Okay. And Playboy Playmate and Pastor Hannah, two whole different spectrums.
Yin and yang, right.
Yin and yang, but at the same time, I believe in talking to everybody.
Diversity.
Exactly, diversity. And I would match them up to the restaurant. So I knew how to book. And I would book and then invite the people out to eat. Got with a cool production company, short 5-minute episodes, and it was called Small Talk. Let's just have some small talk. What's so cool about it, Small Talk, are my initials, ST. Samantha Thomas. And I never really thought about that because I was just doing what came natural to me. And of course I wasn't making a lot of money, but at the same time I was getting invited. I became a socialite. Yeah. Going to do different events, but it was never to put me on a pedestal at the same. I wanted to promote them. and just do what I love to do. So eventually Small Talk brought me back out to Las Vegas back in 2017 to get it on TV out there, and I succeeded successfully getting it on the Vegas PBS station out there.
Wow.
And again, another opportunity happened in Las Vegas. Shout out to one of my amazing mentors, Tracy McKinney, out in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Ski She saw something in me at one of our sorority meetings, and I auditioned to be the traffic anchor in Las Vegas. Still doing Small Talk on the side, but I actually became a reporter in Las Vegas, at the ABC affiliate, and supposed to be traffic anchor, but they wanted me to do what I did on social media. So like I'll always say, your gift, it will make room for you.
Absolutely.
And my gift, even not knowing what I was doing back then with Small Talk, that became my segment in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And you know, it eventually it phased out, and I've not made any announcements, but Chicago, I'm back. And I came back here in May, and have been doing some amazing things here. And this is where we're at right now. So Small Talk is still going on. I cover things, the people around the city. I just, shout out to the Denmans yesterday. I was at their Harold's Chicken opening here in the South Loop, and just always doing things. I got a chance to hang out with Common last week. Like, my 2019 is made, if you will. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm getting ready to co-host this event with you next week. So that's where we're at right now, and that's me in a nutshell.
Man, I mean, how do you even come after that? We have about.
Did I talk too much?
No, but that's a phenomenon. Like, faith comes by hearing, so people need to be able to hear a person's journey. So I'm always fascinated how someone got on this road to entrepreneurship. We got about another 3 minutes or so.
Okay.
I've been beating the drum about this event and why entrepreneurs and small business owners should come out. From your perspective, why should they come out next Saturday? You
know what? Because many of us, we're at a roadblock. I think many people want to do but don't know how to do.
Right.
And to be around people who are doing the Curtis R. Mondays, the Samantha Thomases, and I'll say Allison. A lot of dope people here in Chicago doing great things. I think you need to put yourself in that energy. You could look on social media all day and wish. You could like and tap and love and make comments, but putting yourself in that atmosphere and feeling the energy will hopefully propel you to want to do. And being around people that are doing, I think that's why you need to come out. And plus, it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. At 3-hour event, an opportunity to network and meet other like-minded individuals. At some point in the event, we'll stop it. We'll stop the mingling and the networking for a second. And Samantha and I will have a one-on-one convo where she'll actually do her journalistic thing and get into my mind and have a very organic, authentic conversation. Let her do what she does. What are you doing the rest of the weekend, Sam? You're going to be out and about in the city. Can anybody follow you to any events? Or take that back. Don't follow her nowhere. You take your butt home and get some rest.
I am, because if you all cannot hear, I'm very nasally. I've been battling. I got a flu shot too, like a month ago, and I wound up getting sick. So I'm going to get some rest. Yes, I'm getting some rest, but you can follow me. I will be responding to people on social media. My handle is Talk to Samantha. That's Talk 2 Samantha. Talk to Samantha on Insta, and also on Twitter, which I don't utilize that much, but I'm gonna get back on there. And Facebook, Samantha Thomas, or my page, Small Talk with Samantha.
Right. Miss Samantha Thomas, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Again, come on out next Saturday at the Bureau Bar UIC location from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I need you to RSVP. It's very important that we have a proper head count. Don't get that mad at me because all the chicken gone and all the appetizers gone. It's because we don't RSVP. RSVP. hello@forwardplanninginc.com. hello@forwardplanninginc.com. You will not talk about me if we run out of stuff because you did not RSVP. I need you there to RSVP. So again, phenomenal show. Our dynamic duo, Sonia Levine, Mighty Titus, Samantha Thomas, Ronald Millsap. We appreciate you. A silent assassin in the background. Never saying anything, but always watching. Mr. Troy, appreciate you. I got to go. I got to do what I do. I always know I did it my way. God bless you. Peace out.